Imagine, imagine walking into one of the most famous, like, heavily guarded physical spaces in the entire world.
Oh, yeah, after you've been waiting in line for hours.
Exactly. You're standing there for hours in the freezing cold, and then you finally step through those massive, heavy iron doors.
Right.
The low-frequency bass immediately, like, hits your sternum. And the very first thing you notice is this totally jarring, almost disorienting sense of disconnect.
Because nobody is looking at you.
Right. Nobody's looking at you. Nobody is, judging your outfit. And quite frankly, nobody cares about you.
It's wild. It completely shatters the entire framework of what we expect from a night out in a global metropolis.
Absolutely.
I mean, in almost any other major city, a famous venue is meticulously engineered around the concept of seeing and being seen. It's basically a theater for social hierarchy.
So true. Well, today we are taking a deep dive into this translated essay and manifesto. It's titled, Berlin Techno is Not Music, It's Anonymous Space.
Such a fascinating piece.
It really is. And our mission today is to explore this wild paradox at the heart of the document. We're going to examine why one of the world's most legendary, globally recognized music scenes isn't actually about the music at all.
Which sounds crazy at first.
Right. But the author argues that it functions as this elaborate, highly calibrated urban device, one that's designed to make your human face and your entire identity just completely disappear.
Yeah, the source material forces a total paradigm shift. We're looking at a cultural phenomenon that requires us to understand architectural psychology and urban sociology.
Just as much as audio frequencies.
Exactly. We are dissecting a physical environment that actively and aggressively strips away modern behavioral norms.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if you think about traditional nightclubs, they're the ultimate venues for the performance of the self.
Oh, totally. You buy the VIP table.
Right. You position yourself under the lights. You want the crowd to notice your presence. But this manifesto argues that the Berlin Club is constructed to flatten all of that.
Completely flatten it.
The DJ is not some star elevated on a pedestal. The audience is definitively not the main character. The whole space is just completely flat.
And, the environment relies on strict enforcement to maintain that flatness. The lighting design is a huge component of this.
Yeah, tell us about the lighting.
Well, it isn't designed to highlight anyone's features or draw attention to a specific corner of the room. It is incredibly oppressively dark.
Like can't see your hand in front of your face dark.
Exactly. And perhaps the most famous enforcement mechanism is the absolute ban on cameras.
Oh, man. The camera ban.
Security personnel literally place opaque stickers over the lenses of your smartphone before you are even allowed to cross the threshold.
It feels like stepping into an antisocial network, like a physical space built entirely on the premise of not sharing.
That's a great way to put it.
I mean, the golden rule of the space is do not be recorded, which is a radical concept today.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Especially when we are conditioned to document every waking second of our lives.
So if we're so conditioned to document everything, is taking away the camera the only way to force human beings to actually be present?
Well, the author points out that the camera ban and the darkness serve a much deeper psychological purpose than just, protecting the privacy of the patrons.
What do you mean?
They are the active, intentional creation of a blank space. When you remove the ability to record, you immediately assassinate the concept of the future audience.
Oh, wow. The future audience.
Yeah, you are no longer modifying your behavior for the people who might see your photo on a feed tomorrow morning.
You are severing the tie between the action and the memory of the action.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Right. Without the camera, the DJ isn't trying to manufacture some viral drop-the-beat moment. They aren't playing for a crowd of glowing rectangles.
Because there's no spectacle.
Exactly. In a typical entertainment venue, the DJ is elevated. They're literally and metaphorically the idol. But in this anonymous space, the DJ is frequently hidden in the shadows.
Just on the exact same floor level as the crowd, right?
Yes. They function more like a utility worker. They're simply maintaining the atmospheric pressure of the room. It just dismantles the entire concept of the spectacle.
It really is the ultimate anti-spectacle. But a culture so fiercely dedicated to erasing the spectacle didn't just materialize out of thin air.
No, definitely not.
To understand how this highly specific ecosystem evolved, we have to look at the physical and historical soil it grew in. We have to go back to the literal architecture of post-wall Berlin.
Right, because the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 is the absolute catalyst for this whole phenomenon.
Paint a picture of that for us.
So you had a city that had been artificially severed into East and West for decades. And when this sudden political reunification happened, it left behind this massive, unprecedented blank zone.
Right in the geographic center of a European capital.
Exactly.
You had this sudden surplus of abandoned Soviet-era infrastructure, like massive concrete ruins, empty factories, subterranean bunkers.
Decommissioned power plants, yeah.
And techno just flowed directly into this architectural void. It's almost like nature reclaiming an abandoned parking lot.
That's a good analogy.
But instead of vines and weeds, the overgrowth is made of concrete and base.
What's fascinating here is that the physical environment fundamentally dictated the resulting culture. At this specific moment in history, the traditional forces that structure society were paralyzed.
State power was in transition.
Exactly. Capitalism had not yet moved in to monetize the ruins. Corporate brands were entirely absent from these militarized zones.
So nobody owned these spaces. Or the ownership was trapped in decades of bureaucratic limbo.
Right. So you didn't have a liquor sponsor putting a neon logo over the dance floor. You didn't have a corporate hospitality group dictating the layout of the seating.
Because there was no seating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The total vacuum of capitalist branding allowed the space to remain completely untethered from status.
I see.
There was no financial hierarchy dictating who got the premium booth, primarily because there were no booths, just bare concrete floors.
So the club evolved organically to have no names, no social classes, and no faces.
Yeah, it was a phenomenon of a city essentially resetting its own identity.
Yeah.
And they used these massive concrete shells as the container for that reset.
A city hitting a geographical hard reset. That
Right.
is so cool. The architecture itself, like those 2-meter-thick walls, originally designed to withstand bomb blasts.
Yeah.
They became this raw, inescapable container. But if the city used these blank physical spaces to reset its identity, we need to talk about the music itself.
You do.
How does the actual sound filling that container achieve that same blankness in the human mind?
Well, to understand the auditory component, we have to stop thinking about this genre as something consumed for traditional musical pleasure.
Right. The manifesto makes a compelling argument about that.
It does. It says that Berlin techno cannot be evaluated the way you evaluate, like, a pop song.
Well,
It functions much closer to spatial design than it does to musical composition.
here's where it gets really interesting. Because the source notes that the sound acts as a continuous physical wall.
A physical wall, exactly.
And the rhythm acts as a strict division of time. So the beat isn't actually a song. It's more like a structural load-bearing beam holding up the room.
Yes.
It's basically an audio-sensory deprivation tank.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see how this auditory environment actively thins out human thought.
How does it do that?
Well, to build that sensory deprivation tank, you have to look at how the human brain processes traditional music. Usually, your brain's predictive engine is running constantly.
Oh, like anticipating what comes next.
Right. You hear a verse, your brain anticipates the chorus, and when the chorus hits, you get a dopamine reward.
Sure, that makes sense.
But Berlin techno weaponizes the 130 beat per minute 44 rhythm to just completely short-circuit that predictive engine.
Because there is no narrative arc.
None.
There are no lyrics for your brain to analyze. There's no verse, chorus, verse structure to anticipate at all.
The repetition of the kick drum and the hi-hat is so relentless and the variations are so microscopic that the brain eventually just gives up trying to anticipate a change.
It just surrenders.
Exactly. The source refers to this cognitive state as the pure compression of time. The past and the future dissolve, leaving the listener trapped in an eternal, inescapable present.
Okay, let me stop you there and push back on a related point the author makes about this blankness.
Sure, go ahead.
Because the source claims that clothes in this space aren't worn to express oneself, but to achieve unreadability.
Unreadability, yeah.
The idea is that you wear dark utilitarian clothing so others cannot read your wealth or social status.
Right.
But if everyone is required to wear the exact same pseudo-industrial dark clothing just to get past the door, haven't they just created a new, highly exclusive uniform?
It's a fair question.
Like, how is that actually anonymous and not just a different type of subcultural snobbery?
That is the ultimate paradox of this culture, and honestly a highly debated one. On the surface, the strict door policies and the unofficial black uniform look like textbook gatekeeping.
Yeah, it looks super elitist from the outside.
It does. It looks like subcultural elitism.
Mm.
But the manifesto argues that once you are actually inside the dark room, that uniform ceases to function as fashion.
What does it function as then?
It functions as camouflage.
Oh, like wearing a green suit against a green screen.
Exactly like that. The dark clothing blends into the unlit environment, erasing the physical boundaries of the individual.
I see.
When the social layers of fashion vanish and that repetitive beat locks the brain into that eternal present we talked about, the very sensation of listening to music disappears.
Because you are no longer an active consumer evaluating a piece of art.
Right. You stop being a university student or a corporate manager or even a fan of the DJ.
The source says you become a mere vibrating body. I love that phrase.
It's very accurate. The thick concrete traps the low frequencies, the bass physically moves the air against your chest, and you are left with one incredibly simple, irreducible fact.
Which is?
You are here now.
Wow. You are here now. And this transforms the venue from a space of entertainment into a modern urban ritual. Right, because throughout human history, rituals have frequently utilized repetitive drumming.
Drumming, chanting, sensory overload.
Yeah, to induce trance states.
Yeah.
Which serves to dissolve the individual ego into the collective whole.
Exactly. What we are observing in the basements of Berlin is basically an industrialized, concrete version of that exact same human mechanism.
It's a ritual focused purely on the biological state of existing.
Yes.
But that begs the question, why? Why do people today so desperately crave the sensation of becoming a mindless, vibrating body?
That's a great question.
I mean, hundreds of thousands of people travel across the globe every year, standing in freezing temperatures, specifically seeking out this erasure.
The demand is so high because the contrast with the outside world has never been more extreme. Modern society constantly, relentlessly demands that we be someone.
Oh, absolutely.
The cognitive load of maintaining an identity in the 21st century is just staggering.
Outside those heavy iron doors, visibility equals value.
Yes, it does.
You are defined by your professional title, your economic output, your digital footprint, your follower count.
And all those hyper-specific labels you attach to your political beliefs and hobbies. Everything is a brand that requires constant maintenance.
Your personality is heavily branded, and every passing moment is categorized as content.
You are essentially functioning as the manager of your own public relations firm, 24 hours a day. The brain never gets to drop the act.
But inside the club, attempting to maintain that brand is treated as literal noise.
Right. Taking out a smartphone shatters the fragile illusion of the blank space.
The author points out that there are two distinct worlds now, the world to be seen and the world to disappear.
And Berlin Techno offers the latter. It grants people access to a resource that is almost entirely extinct in modern life.
What's that?
Unevaluated time.
Unevaluated time.
Think about it. You are standing in a room surrounded by hundreds of other human beings, yet you are completely unevaluated by them. You don't need to be anyone.
That is profound. I mean, we spend billions of dollars globally on the wellness industry, on self-care routines, on finding our authentic self.
Oh, for sure.
We meticulously curate our identities to reach some peak level of self-actualization. But this manifesto suggests something else.
What's that?
That our modern obsession with finding our identity is actually the very mechanism exhausting us.
Yes.
And true relief doesn't come from finding yourself at all. It comes from self-erasure.
This raises an important question about the psychological burden of the modern ego. Constantly maintaining an identity requires immense cognitive energy.
It's exhausting.
It is. When you are forced to always have an opinion, always present a curated face, always be reachable, the mind is under continuous taxation.
So this space is the antidote.
Exactly. The temporary escape from these social roles isn't just some hedonistic party. It is a pressure valve that allows people to mentally breathe. It's a state approaching true liberation.
You walk into the concrete room, the bass hits, the lights drop, and you just get to stop.
You stop.
You don't have to be the smart one, the funny one, or the successful one. The architecture and the audio frequencies do the heavy lifting of stripping all of that away from you.
But we should note that this blank space is a highly fragile ecosystem.
Why fragile?
Well, if the lights were turned up or if cameras were allowed, the ego would instantly snap back into place.
Oh, right.
The predictive engine of the brain would restart. You would immediately begin worrying about your posture, who is looking at you, and how you appear in the background of someone else's digital content.
So the anonymity requires brutal, uncompromising enforcement to survive the pressures of the outside world.
Exactly. It has to be protected.
So what does this all mean? When we zoom out and synthesize this source material, it becomes really clear that we aren't just looking at a niche musical subculture.
Not at all.
It is not the music of the future trying to push the boundaries of melody, nor is it like a punk rock rebellion of the past trying to loudly smash the political system.
No, the mechanism is much quieter than a rebellion.
Right. Despite the sheer volume of the sound system, it is a quiet, internal, urban mechanism. It is a psychological sanctuary that allows people to survive the immense pressure of the modern city.
Beautifully said.
The author of the manifesto ends with an incredibly powerful thought, and I want to quote it directly to you because it perfectly encapsulates the strange journey we just took into the dark.
Let's hear it.
They wrote, "In Berlin techno, you don't become someone, you finally stop being someone."
And you know, the source notes that this liberating sensation actually lingers.
It does.
Yeah. Even when the music finally stops, when you walk out of those heavy iron doors and back into the harsh daylight, back into the world of jobs and smartphones and curated identities,
Yeah.
that feeling of being unburdened stays with you. You have experienced the profound relief of not existing as a social entity, and that temporary erasure makes the weight of the real world slightly easier to carry.
It's a sanctuary built entirely out of sound, concrete, and shadows. But it leaves me with this lingering thought for you to explore on your own. Well, as our physical cities become increasingly gentrified, as every square inch of the urban landscape is mapped by satellites, monetized by corporate real estate, and permanently monitored by digital surveillance,
Right.
will physical blank zones like these underground ruins disappear entirely? We've seen how this unique culture relied on the specific, unowned post-wall void of 1989 Berlin to flourish.
But voids are getting harder and harder to find.
Exactly. If the unowned, unrecorded physical spaces disappear, where will future generations go to temporarily erase their identities?
That's a great question.
Will the next anonymous space have to be built entirely inside our own minds? Or will human beings always find a way to carve out a dark room, step inside, and wait for that jarring, beautiful moment where nobody's looking at you?